And to all of the key speeches, we'll give the same souvenirs. So please, yes.
So, good morning again. We are now going to have a high-level panel discussion where we brought together major players in the field of human capacity building in space science, technology, and application. So I'm going to introduce the panelists, and then I'll ask each of them to provide between 3 and 5 minutes maximum statement. I mean, what you want to say to introduce your view on that. And then I hope that we have time for some questions, both from myself and the audience. So my panelists are Vladimir Vogadirev, is the Vice Rector, Samara University. Then we have Ray Kawashima, the Director of UNISEC Global, and we welcomed UNISEC as a permanent observer of COPUOS recently. I mean, yes, just still waiting for the final approval of the General Assembly, so starting from 1st of January, very good. And then we have Preti Panavenage, sorry, Director General and CEO of the Arthur C. Clarke Institute for Modern Technologies. And then René Pichel, the head of the ESA permanent mission in Russian Federation. And then Jingnong Beng, the Dean of Beiyang University in China. And then Alla Vukovic, okay, I'm learning. Okay, thank you so much. Executive Director of Human Resources of Roscosmos. So let me start with Vladimir. As I said, between 3 and 5 minutes maximum. Thank you, Vladimir.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure for me to take part in this high-level panel devoted to human capacity building in aerospace and technology. I will try to speak from the point of view of our university, and as the university, I can mention 3 main areas. First, education, second, research, and third, innovation. Firstly, we see new challenges in education nowadays, among them distant learning and massive online courses. For example, Coursera or edX, they provide us opportunity to study from any part of the world. Another one is academic mobility. For example, Times Higher Education Agency predicts that next year we will have more than 8 million students in education nowadays for short programs, for one semester, and massive online programs become more and more popular in the world. Or edX, they provide us opportunity. Another challenge is a wide growth of interdisciplinary education programs of the world. Necessity of soft skills for mobility, technical education, and information technologies for humanitarian education, because only erudite scholars can solve modern problems of mankind. Secondly, speaking about research, about science, I want to say that we clearly see new challenges, new global megatrends, and these megatrends will make new markets. Among them, big data, additive technology, e-commerce, and others. In the next 5 years, all these areas will show us rapid growth, more than 100% on the market. On the one hand, universities of technology have to take into account the new phenomenon of digital economy and wide use of Earth remote sensing technology, global navigation satellite systems, and geoinformational data. For example, in agriculture, in fishery, in building construction, in transport logistics, in road engineering, and other fields of economy. And on the other hand, universities of technology have to take into account the development of aerospace industry. And today, aerospace industry became traditional industry, including broadening use of unmanned systems, and provision of ecological safety of all kinds of transport systems, even rockets and airplanes. As for our university, we get new challenges in the face of the three next events. First, possible creation of a Luna orbit station, Deep Space Gateway by NASA and Roscosmos, and I think that all of you know about this possible new agreement between these two agencies. Second, development of super heavy rocket for this purpose, which is possible in future in cooperation with Samara Enterprises. And third, finishing of construction of new spaceport Vostochny in the far east of Russia. Our university plans to play active role in all these activities, to carry out research and to teach students for the needs of aerospace industrial enterprises. And finally, thirdly, in innovations, we meet such trends as appearance of startup factories and opportunities of crowdfunding. Modern universities more and more often become centers for the generation of innovations for enterprises, regional and national public spheres. And summarizing my speeches, I have only 3 to 5 minutes. I'd like to emphasize that today universities play a role not only as education centers for human capacity building, but they are also partners in R&D projects and in innovations. So thank you for your attention. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you very much. I took note, so that we will discuss during the question and answer session. And Ray, then is your turn. Please.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor and pleasure to be here and talk about UNISEC, our activities. UNISEC stands for University Space Engineering Consortium. So it is the consortium of university. And we started this activity in 2002 in Japan. And in the beginning, we focused on domestic activities because we do not know if it is a good or not, good or bad. But 8 years experience was long enough to convince us this is good for education, especially for engineers. So we have decided to split these activities to the rest of the world. And now we have 15 local chapters in the world, and I'm very, very glad to be here with UNISEC Samara. This is the very, very old member when we started in 2013. And we have 44 points of contact in the world. But our target is 100. We started with a big desire to make the world where university students can participate in the practical space projects in more than 100 countries by the end of 2020. So now it's 2017, so we need to a little bit hurry, but everybody is working quite hard, and I'm quite optimistic. Okay, so, but we are providing training program and technical competition, such as a nanosatellite mission idea contest and debris mitigation competition, and also organizing conference and the workshop. For example, in December 2 to 4th, we will have the meeting in Rome, in Italy. Taking this opportunity, I would like to raise an issue. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the key principle of this agenda is no one will be left behind. No one. It's a very, very strong word. And if UNISEC Global takes this the principle seriously, we need to say by the end of 2030, we should seek the goal that no country will be left behind in the capacity building in space science and technology. And by the end of 2030, we need to create a world where university students can participate in the practical space projects in all countries. However, I am not very sure. I've been working with students and professors for 15 years. I'm not an engineer, but I know how difficult, how hard, how tough the making satellite and making rocket is. And I am not very sure if it's a good thing to recommend them to start such a difficult, tough task. It's good for education. However, the 100 countries is more than half of countries on this planet. So I thought that this target is good. But all the countries means every single country. And in such a country, in a small country and poor country, should we recommend, should we facilitate them to start the space projects at the university? I am sure that the university's program can be transferred to the existing universities anywhere. However, I would like to ask your opinion from different viewpoints. What do you think about that? So thank you very much. I will have a presentation today, late afternoon, so I can talk about it more. So thank you very much.
So my next speaker is Sanat, please.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Dobre Utra to all of you. Coming from a developing country, Sri Lanka, I think with quite a number of colleagues coming from such countries, placing increasing emphasis on development of space, I would like to share my experiences. But before that, let me tell you that some years ago, space technologies and their applications were viewed as an important area of technology that could be used in achieving the development agenda that we want to achieve in our national development agenda as well as on a global scale. But with globally adopted development agendas such as Sustainable Development Goals 2030 and Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction and also Paris Climate Change Agreement, all this global agenda for development placing increased emphasis on the use of science and technology in general and space technology in particular. Of course, it has now come to the stage where space is not merely an important technology in achieving those development goals, but it's an indispensable technology. So I think developing nations are also beginning to understand that. So I can explain to you about the kind of emphasis that we have placed in our national policy agenda in the area of space. Of course, in Sri Lanka, space has been identified as one of the key areas of advanced technology where we have to develop our national technological capabilities in our drive towards transforming our economy into a knowledge-based, innovation-driven economy. So that's a very important milestone because at the end of the day, we know everything is driven by policy. So from the policy development perspective, it's very important that it has been given the due place that it needs to be given in order to ensure that the potential of space technologies and applications is harnessed to the optimum level in the achievement of the national development agenda. And obviously, as the space community in the country, we are very proud of that. So, in fact, this is it's in the same lines that we have developed the Space 2030 agenda. So that's to enable achievement of those development goals. At the country level, our activities are actually in 3 thrust areas. In the first place, we are going ahead with acquisition of national capabilities in space technologies. Under that, our major program is a nano-satellite development program to begin with. And I'm proud to say our key partner in that program is Samara State, Samara National Research University. Of course, a team from Samara University visited Sri Lanka last October. We have our colleague, Professor Iga Belokonov, who's working with us. On the basis of that, we developed a collaborative program, and we came here in March this year, and we entered into a collaborative agreement for space technology capacity development in the country. And 17 of our engineers were trained here in Samara, and this program goes on. So this is a very important milestone in acquisition of our national technological capabilities in basic space technologies. So we are going ahead with this program to develop a couple of nanosatellites, and that will be launched. So we also have other collaborations. Of course, we are also having another collaborative project under the BIRDS program. Of course, George Maida is here, so we are working also with Kyushu Institute of Technology in the program. So this is representative of the steps that is taken by some of the developing countries in acquiring their basic space technology capabilities, I guess. So the other area is actually in the application of space technologies. That is basically remote sensing, geographic information systems, and then global navigation satellite systems. So my institute, which is the government agency mandated for space technology capacity development in the country, is having a program which assesses the capabilities of the other government institutions, mainly government institutions, and then in the application of space technologies. So we look at their potential that they have and the capabilities, in-house capabilities that they have, and the capacity building needs that they have. And on that basis, we have been facilitating training of engineers, scientists, and technologists from public sector institutions which are operating in different domains such as agriculture, natural resource management, forestry, wildlife, environmental management, coastal conservation, urban planning and development, lands, meteorology and climate, all these areas. We have been selecting scientists and engineers from those areas and providing them with some specialized opportunities in training in outside the country, being the agency which is basically dealing with those areas. And the other one is, of course, conducting collaborative research in those domain-specific areas. So our scientists, together with the scientists from those domain-specific agencies, are involved in collaborative research. So those are some of the key activities we are carrying out. So in carrying out those activities, particularly the capacity development activities, we are also working in close collaboration with the regional platforms and also international platforms. So we are working with the UN regional centers, UN regional center in India, and also we are building a very good relationship with the regional center that came up in Beihang University. So we are working with them, and also we have been a very active player in the Regional Space Applications Program of the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, UNESCAP. So this Regional Space Application Program has a couple of major initiatives. So one of them, an agricultural drought monitoring project, and also an action plan is now being developed for the period 2018-2030 for capacity development in space technologies in the region. We as a country have been contributing a lot to this development process, action plan development process, and also we have been benefiting from that. This is about what I could share within a matter of 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I have René. It's my pleasure to introduce you, please.
So, good morning again. So, I have two major points. The first point is, as you probably know, ESA is an organization with 22 member states. That means that cooperation is the basis of all our life and work, and that concerns all areas of activities, including education and outreach. And the second point I wanted to mention is we are witnessing an area of change in space business, as I mentioned earlier, in the sense that the number of players and the character of players in the space area is changing rapidly, and that has an effect also on the applications which are used in space towards an increase in commercial applications and concerning the players in the space environment, the increase of private companies. Saying that means that the role of space agencies is changing. And our response to that is what we call Space 4.0. And this Space 4.0, one aspect of it is more transparency and more being open to the public. And that goes also then, of course, in the area of education and outreach, meaning that we need to find new methods in addition to what we have done before, and also to search for new approaches to reach a bigger auditorium, a bigger audience with what we do. And I would say in the very few time we have been doing this, we have been quite successful. For instance, with citizen debates, inviting public audience participating in discussing questions we would before that have discussed only with governmental people. Also with new means in education. And as a last point, I would like to mention that, of course, with the launch of quite a number of Earth observation missions in the frame of the Copernicus program and the related open data policy to it, plus the new opportunities which we have in the terms of data distribution, Earth observation gives us a unique opportunity to use Earth observation data and its dissemination as a tool for education and outreach. And in my presentation in the afternoon, I will tell you a bit more about this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jing Nong, please.
So thanks, Mr. Chair, the Simulate. And ladies and gentlemen, good morning. So it's my pleasure to be here, the Samara University. I came here just half hour before due to the flight delayed. But when I arrived here, I saw so many old friends and also new friends. So all my tiredness disappeared, totally disappeared. So it's my great honor to be here. So first I would like to briefly introduce my university, Beihang University. So Beihang University established in 1952 and is the first university in aerospace areas in China. So last week we just celebrated its 65th anniversary. And also, I'm proud to tell you that 1/3 of Chinese space program include Chang'e, Beidou, Tiangong, and Shenzhou, and Gaofen. All this program, the chief designer and the chief command are graduate from Beihang University. So I think also I know that the Samara University also are very strong in space areas. So I think it's a very good opportunity for us to extend the cooperation between Samara University and Beihang University. And the second, I would like to say that regarding this high-level panelist, the topic, the trends and the demands of the capacity building for sustainable economy and social development. So I know that now space technology application is everywhere and in any time. So I think this is a new era. So everything can be connected. But I think the people connected is very, very important, is the first thing. So this is why we are come here, we are getting together here to communicate each other, to know each other, to learn each other. So in 2014, we established a UN Regional Center for Space Science Technology in Asia Pacific in Beihang University. So this year, with the support of UNWUSA, we propose to establish the alliance of regional centers to extend the cooperation with all the other regional centers. So I think it's also very, very important. So all the 6 regional centers totally have 66 countries. So we try to make it connected and to share resources, to do cooperations. So I think this is the one part of the capacity buildings. So this afternoon I will make a presentation on how to build this alliance of regional centers. So to communicate with all the participants. And the third, I know that so it's easy to predict the future if you invent it, right? So I think next year, it's a very good opportunity. So everybody know that Unispace plus 50. The next year will be the 50th anniversary. So I think it's a very good opportunity for every of us to consider do something for the future. So I think we should work together to promote the space technology application for the peaceful use and the benefit for the world. So I think and also for this workshop, I think it's also a very good time for us to share each other, to learn each other, and for the better future. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Allah, it's your turn.
Good morning once again. For me, it was like a surprise that I take part in this high-level discussion. But anyway, it happens sometimes both on the Earth and in space. That's why it's okay. Okay, actually, I have a presentation about Roscosmos' role in human capacity in space science and technologies in the afternoon when we come to Holiday Inn. And I don't want to break the agenda. That's why I want to just to define 2 points. Actually, state corporation Roscosmos, it's a huge corporation. More than 200,000 people work actually start from Moscow to the Far East, where we have Cosmodrome Vostochny, our new Cosmodrome. And of course, Roscosmos pays much attention to the human resources policy. As to my opinion, as I am HR director for state corporation Roscosmos, I think that human resources and human capacity is the most important, because everything in this world, everything in space on the Earth is created by the people. That is why I think that it is very important that not only Russia, not only United States, Europe, but also the United Nations pay so much attention to the development of human capacity and of human resources. And in my presentation, I'll tell you in detail about our occupational guidance, how we work with education in Roscosmos, and how we re-educate and how we train the employees of Roscosmos when they come to Roscosmos for the succession pool and such issues. And another point which I would like to define, actually not long ago in summer I was in Baikonur, and I watched the launch of our spacecraft, and the team consisted of 3 people. One was Russian cosmonaut, one was from United States, and one was Italian citizen. It was international, actually, team which went to the International Space Station. And we celebrated together, and they showed once more that space should be beyond the policies. It should be that space has actually, as I said in the first part of our workshop, has no limits and no borders. And it is important, and Roscosmos has quite a wide international cooperation with with NASA, with European agency. But I think it's time to broaden our cooperation in human resources and education. And I'm very glad that actually the UN workshop takes place in Samara, is one of the most important centers for space industry in Russia. And I hope that after this conference, we have a lot of ideas how to broaden our cooperation in human resources and in human capacity fields. Let's stay in touch in space and on the Earth.
So thank you so much. Before opening the, assuming that we have time.
Yes, I'm tracking the time. I think we have 10 minutes for questions and answers.
Okay, so I'll go first for a question from my side, and then I hope that at least we have the time for 1 or 2 questions from the audience. And my question is to all of you, so you can volunteer to answer. So it would be a good idea to build what we started to call the Office for Outer Space Affairs, a sort of a network of capacity building, so capacity building network, obviously under the auspices in, I would say coordination, but in any case under the framework of the Office for Outer Space Affairs. So that's the first question, and the follow-up question is, okay, for sure, if the answer is yes, how we could do that, and eventually would you consider the support of the Office for Outer Space Affairs experts in your courses, obviously done with a certain plan, etc., as a good approach for bringing more students and more universities under the umbrella of the UN, so that we can really build together a plan for the future, for the next generations, and also that the academic world becomes real and important stakeholder in our plan for the future under, again, the umbrella of the UN and Space 2030. So who wants to answer this question? Okay, please, Sanet.
Thanks, Simonetta. Let me share my quick comments about your 2 questions. Number 1 is about the network of capacity building networks. I think this is very important. UN-USA is uniquely positioned to organize such a thing. Because we see, even within the United Nations system, there are a lot of efforts that are being made in the area of space to aid capacity building at the regional level and at the international level. As the premier organ of the United Nations system, which is dealing with the UN, dealing with space, of course, UN-USA is uniquely positioned. Therefore, that is something that should definitely be pursued by UN-USA. And in this endeavor, of course, I also would like to mention about the effort that has already been initiated to build a network of regional centers to ensure that the regional UN-affiliated regional centers for space science and technology capacity building will be working in close collaboration. That's very good. And the second question, whether the countries would like to have experts seconded from UNOOSA, probably drawn from institutions like Samara University to visit the organizations. Of course, that would be a very, very important suggestion once again, because as I said in my comments, most of the developing countries, with the recognition that space is no longer just an important tool, it's an indispensable tool for achieving development targets, of course, is placing a lot of emphasis on space technology capacity building, application of space technologies in many different domains of development. So in that case, a lot of countries are having this major capacity gap. If UN, USA can arrange to provide such experts in training programs, I think that will be a very good opportunity. I think universities like Samara, which in my belief is not, Samara University's rankings do not really reflect their position, reflect their strength in the area of space. These conventional ranking methods might not take into consideration certain strengths in a particular area like space. So would be, when you draw experts from such places, not only Samara University, from all over the globe, whoever who could contribute, that would be very, very vital.
Okay. Yeah, also I would like to say something about the network of the capacity building. So I know that the USA has paid a lot of attention on this. So in 1995, already push to establishment of the UN Regional Center. So now has 6. So I think what we are doing, so we should make this network much bigger. Yeah. So we established the alliance of all regional centers. So totally there are 6 regional centers. And also I think we can extend the network to the university. So each member states, they have the related university in space related university. So I think the 6 regional center, we totally have 66 countries. And each countries we invite 1 or 2 university and or 1 or 2 enterprise. So I think this network will be much better. And it also will be benefit more people. So this is what I'm thinking, the idea. And also what we can do, I think now the technology change very, very fast. So compare with 3 years ago, 5 years ago, actually many things, many aspects totally changed. So we can take this advantage of the new technology. Especially we can do some online communication, online education. So we can jointly work on the books, on curriculums, on the teaching materials, and also we can jointly publications. So we can extend more cooperation and benefit more peoples. So what we are doing, so first we made the network much more big. And the first things I think for network, I think is the human resources. Human network is the first things. So this is my suggestions. Thank you.
Anyone else wants to say anything? Please, Vladimir.
Yes, I can add just a few words. We already have partnership with Institute for Modern Technologies named after Arthur Clarke, and we have partnership with Beihang University. But if we want more cooperation, I want to follow your words, we do need to develop network of these centers and to establish more and more centers in Europe, maybe in Russia Federation, in neighboring countries, yes, in Asia, in Pacific region. Yes, I agree with you. Thank you.
Okay, good. So we can move now to questions from the audience. I see someone here, please. But you probably need a microphone. Okay, coming. Please introduce yourself so that each of us knows you.
I am Marwan Kodmani, an expert on remote sensing and space sciences, and a teacher at the Damascus University about early warning system and disaster management. I support your questions with the internet, and also, what about e-learning training course about space technology and remote sensing and GIS and many disciplines of space technology, like Future Learn by European Space Agency and World Bank. Also, e-learning training course, and you can get a certificate. By United Nations in Vienna, we can support this idea to e-learning and to get a certificate and about space technology and remote sensing and other disaster management, early warning system, many disciplines. Thank you very much.
So I can start answering saying that you probably noticed this morning that I made a presentation. In the presentation, I was mentioning the 6 thematic priorities, and now we are preparing the reports for each of them. In particular, for thematic priority number 7, the Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space assigned to the Office for Outer Space Affairs the responsibility of preparing the report. And clearly we are doing that, collecting all the informations and all the recommendations from the various events that we've been conducting during the year. So this question of the e-learning courses arose already sometimes, I mean, in the past events. So in the draft report, that has to be approved by member states, but in the draft report that we will issue, I hope, by the end of November on thematic priority number 7, we are focusing a lot on new technologies for capacity building, including potentially e-learning courses. Now, this implies that we have to look for funds, because currently under the regular budget we don't have it. But still, just to say that this has been already included, at least in our proposal, then it's up to member states to decide if they want to go ahead and give us the mandate to evolve also in the direction of learning courses. For the time being, we believe that we have to keep the approach we have, which means workshops, capacity building activities, training courses, but so the e-learning courses will be in parallel, and in this way we reach out more people at the same time. Point will be that we have then to decide, I mean, member states have to decide in which way we have to use the regular budget money that we have for workshops and courses and training courses, etc., in the best possible way. So it's already included. I don't know if anyone wants to say anything on this. No? So we have time for, yeah, please do the same, even if we know you well. Introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. My name is Gani Agbaje from I'm the Director, African Regional Center for Space Science and Technology Education. The question actually is to UNISEC Global. It's a wonderful work. The quote to say that no one country should be left behind by 2030. Actually, if any country is left behind, the 2030 will not be achieved by all. So my question is that I don't know the strategy being used with regards to the network of universities that is you are bringing together to ensure that by 2030 all countries will be involved. I know that, I don't know as regards awareness all over the world with what UNISEC Global is doing, because getting the space industry being domesticated in various countries is key. And trying to have champions in those countries is very key. So UNOSA will be very, very important in ensuring that member states are involved in this. Because I would love to ask how many African universities are involved in UNISEC Global, or what are the strategies being used to ensure that developing countries are well involved. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. I am not very sure if I understand your question clearly, but your question is our strategy to spread the global activities, right? Is that correct? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, one of the strategy is providing to for example, cancer training program. We invite the professor or instructor from overseas to Japan, and give them training, and they can experience whole the process of making CANSAT, and we expect them to teach their students after the training program. Then they can teach, they can make their own UNISEC, because they are teaching, they are having a training. So we are, well, I will talk about it more in the afternoon session, so I can explain more. But the strategy, actually we are very tiny, small, the non-governmental and non-profit organization. So, it's a very great honor to become the permanent observer of United Nations Corpus. It's a really more than we expected, and we really thank to them to accept us. But the university has a huge potential. You know, they have teachers, students, and the rooms and facilities, and they can get budget if they want. So each university has a potential, and if they make a commitment to do it, they can do it. And I have observed many examples all over the world, and so I think this is our strategy. We trust each university people.
So, do we have time for another one? No?
I think only one.
Only one.
The final.
So I can take just one short question. Okay? Vasily.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Vasily Gudnov from Roscosmos. Madam Chair, I would like to ask personally you, because you know, to achieve our goal for sustainable development, we should create really capable people, capable to solve some problems we are facing now. Overall, some threats from modern space activities. And we are witnesses that sometimes during our session in technical and scientific subcommittee, on legal subcommittee, or even in COPUS, we have seen difficulties in our distinguished delegates to discuss some issues, because they are diplomats, some of them are lawyers, some of them are technicians, and for them it's very difficult to combine all knowledge to be efficient in solving such problems. So my question is, do you plan some special courses under UN auspices, under UNUSA auspices, not on speciality, but on specific issues like space debris mitigation or remediation, for example, or possible collision avoidance and something like that? Thank you.
So thank you very much for the question. You know that I share 100% your point. Sometimes I have to say discussions are difficult also because there are some political nuances. So not only on top of what you mentioned, there are also some other issues. In reality, there has been an initiative developed now it's a couple of years by the one university in Austria. It's called Space Breakfasts, where they call for a lecturer on different topics. We have not been involved, which is something that I'm trying to correct. And it's mainly for newcomers in the various permanent missions to get acquainted on different topics. What you are mentioning is instead more something a little bit more structured. I have to tell you that this request came also very strongly from, at least from GRULAG. It's currently not included in the draft report that now it's on my desk for review, which means that this could be a very good suggestion to be included in the report. And I do hope that member states really support us in this kind of activities, because yes, it's probably we need a bit of money to do that in order to structure well the activities, but or at least someone devoted to this kind of activities that we currently don't have in our team, not in terms of expertise, but in terms of overload. I mean, because all of us, we work 150%, even more right now. So, but this is a very good suggestion. So I'll include it in the final report for capacity building in the 21st century, number 7. So thank you very much, Vasily. So this means that we close. No, any other final comments that? Very quick, because otherwise Vladimir is looking at me with...
I'm going to give short announcement on the agenda. Okay?
Okay, please.
Okay, so we have some changes in our agenda, and now we are short in time. So I think that we have 15 or 20 minutes to finish, to go out and to see the exhibition in the next hall, then to put on clothes, and at 12:30, 12:40, you have to go to the buses, and the buses will take you to the hotel, to Holiday Inn, where you will have lunch. It's clear? I can repeat. So you have 15 or 20 minutes to go out, to put on clothes, to get acquainted with exhibition in the next hall. And after this, you will go to the buses downstairs, and our students, volunteers, will help you. So do not forget to put on clothes. And the buses will take you to the hotel, to Holiday Inn, where you will have lunch. That's all. Okay.
Thank you very much, and see you in the afternoon at the Holiday Inn. Thank you.